back to Linux Weekly Daily Wednesdays, where we cover the latest Linuxy things going on in the world of, well, Linux. And we're going to try to get out of here in under 30 minutes or more. But we're not going to be able to keep that guarantee this week. It's just not possible. But coming up on the show, XFCE4 is destroying monitors. It's horror meowing, and no, I didn't mispronounce that, and Flowblade 1.12 has introduced a box of business.
Solus introduces Intel CLR Boot Manager straight out of Clear Linux and into your PC. And, you know, it was coming up. It's dead. The Linux Action Show, that is.
And Google has some open source love for you, and also a developer preview for Android O. We might have, for once, a useful Raspberry Pi project to showcase. I mean, if you consider carrying a Linux terminal in your pocket useful.
You say that like it's a bad thing. But hey, man, coming right up first, what is it? Arch!
Arch. So, yeah, we got to cover rolling releases once in a while because otherwise they wouldn't get any news because they don't get any releases. So this is basically a presentation of Manjaro on Linux.com saying that, okay, it's a simple way to get Arch Linux up and running if you have a hard time figuring out how to install Arch.
It's very hard to read that wiki.
This makes it really easy to set everything up on your computer. Default install was set up XFCE, I guess. Yeah, I guess this is the
So what
default.
you're basically trying to say, this is Babby's first Arch install, right?
Yeah, that's what it is.
It is. The thing is, I think they got things mixed up because it's not that hard to get Arch up and running if you can follow instructions. The real challenge is to keep an Arch-based system up and running in the long run.
You pacman update and it will break. That's just par for the course. But truth of the matter is, early, easy mode Arch is pretty popular, especially on Linux_gaming, place where I go and read a lot of stuff. There's a lot of people who claim to be using it anyway. And if you want to act smug and claim you've installed all the Linuxes, and I just banged my microphone, save yourself a few hours of configuring regular Arch and use Manjaro instead.
Yeah, I mean, hey, please do keep in mind that we're not picking on Arch users at all. We love Arch. It's still like one of the rare things in the ecosystem. It's the Tinker toy. It's something that you can genuinely scream YOLO after a reboot and see what's going on. And that's how a lot of us learned how to use the Linux, especially me coming back from like pre-1.0 Slackware days and Google didn't exist. And yeah, Arch is genuinely the chaos monkey of distros, and I love it for that. But just to reiterate is, I'm not picking on Arch users. And Arch users know who I'm picking on. I'm picking on those Arch users. Yeah, they're like, hey, I run Arch and I also do CrossFit. That's
If you want another flavor of YOLO Linux, you can also try SUSE Tumbleweed. This is a good one.
Well, before you try a SUSE Tumbleweed, let's say you want to try and get a desktop version of Linux running on your Android phone. Well, the fine folks at Red Hat Developers have a little bit of a post explaining how to do just that. Now, for this specific case, they wanted to get a LAMP server, like a mobile LAMP server, on the go for whatever reason. I mean, that's fair. And they give you the whole shebang on how you can go about setting it up. And they do that by using Linux Deploy. Now, Linux Deploy is one of those tools that will basically create a chroot on your phone, and you will be running regular desktop Linux in parallel with Android. Now, I always liked the idea of having a full-fledged distro running on your phone because, oh, look, it's my computer. I have it on my pocket. That's awesome. But most of these efforts, keeping both Android and whatever Linux distro you pick running in parallel, it's not exactly ideal. There's a lot of battery consumption. There's, limited system resources because it's a phone or a tablet we're talking about. And I also don't really see how a full-on Linux desktop will work on a phone. On a tablet, sure, but, on a phone, I don't really see it. But then again, if we're going up to like the 7 inches, maybe after I move to Northumbria, I'll see about getting my mitts on a GPD Pocket.
I don't think that's the whole point of running the desktop on the phone. I think it's more of having the tools like a LAMP server, like
having a server on the phone, yeah,
like Git, like all those kind of command line tools, so you can SSH into your phone and stuff like this. They say, so the first confusing stuff is they say, oh, you can install Linux on your Android phone, but Android is Linux. So this is one of the cases where it doesn't hurt to mention.
Send your hate mail to strider@linuxgamecast.com.
I don't have that email.
You do now.
It doesn't hurt to say GNU Linux in that case. Otherwise you can just say Linux, but here Android is not GNU Linux, so you want to install GNU Linux into your phone. So, and the justification of doing that is that it would make it easier or a convenience for web developers. I don't see how this is the case because, I use my phone or my tablet for Android development. Usually I just use Chrome and Chrome for Android and a USB cable. That's all I need.
Yeah, it's definitely a thing. This is running kind of the way, Linux runs on a Chromebook and all that. Yes, it has been done before. That's definitely a thing. I've never got it. I've installed Linux on everything up to and including a Dead Badger. But every time I pick up like my quad-core x86 tablet I have, and I'm going to put Linux on it, it's like, yeah, I don't hate myself that much. We're not going to go through that. And I couldn't really find a proper use case. But you can find a use case for this. That's right. Flowblade 1.12, it is out. They got a couple of new things going in here. My favorite is the box tool. This is all going to be in the show notes. Go screech over there and check that out because the Vimeo video on that, I was like, box tool, what's that about? And I looked at it. It allows you to make a space, select a scene, move it back into the timeline, and it clips everything together. It is really cool. They got a ripple tool mode. One of the big things I saw in this version was kind of caught me off. If you don't know what Flowblade is, it's a pretty decent, completely open source, multi-track, nonlinear video editor, GPL3, and all the fun stuff that's going on with that. Advanced timeline workflow. Yes, it does have all the icons that you see on everything else, but it now renders with multiple threads, which makes me go, you're just getting around to this.
Yeah, this video editor seems to be getting better and better. And of course, its main competition would be KDE and Live, but here they are starting to implement features that are not in KDE and Live, like this box tool. This is not available in KDE and Live. You can shift click to select multiple clips, but yeah, this is neat, and I'm not sure KDE and Live does multi-thread rendering as well. Had to check out.
Probably does.
KDE and Live.
Let's face it, nowadays, considering how many people there are using KDE and Live, it's probably, although I'm not sure. So if any of you watching us right now do use KDE and Live, let us know whether or not it uses all the cores in your system, all the threads, as the case may be. Now,
okay,
it's time to get off each and every of our own respective lawns, because someone who had a lot of time on his hands, Seth Kenlon from Red Hat, decided
this guy can tell me to get off his lawn, but I still got like my pinky toe on it because he's only got me he doesn't even have me by 2 years, but he took his own
he basically set up QEMU and he decided, let's find old distros from back to 1993 up to 2003 and see how they run. And he did. He all the way from Slackware 1.01 up to, but not exclusively.
Is this after step? That's bringing back nightmares.
Yep. Fedora Core 1. Yep. He managed to go from Slackware 1 to Fedora 1. And you can see there's actually a really, really nice visual representation. He managed to get screenshots of all the distros he tried. It's like, oh, the progression of the Linux desktop. Very good. Now, admittedly, compared to the other ones, Fedora looks pretty good back then, didn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one thing I noticed is that Linux used to look so bad. I mean, no wonder I didn't switch to Linux until like 2005.
Every time you say something like that makes me want to come over to your house and just take all your computers away, just out of principle. Oh, it's not pretty enough. I can't use it.
It didn't have to look that bad. I mean, it was already, you could install custom themes and icons and all that stuff. But it's no secret that the Linux world doesn't have that many artists users.
No, they basically all work for Canonical nowadays, since they're focusing on the design and everything.
Yeah, we've all seen Unity.
Unity!
Yeah, well, you see, it's great to have artists, but, don't feed them PCP and lock them in a room. I mean, you're going for the Ballmer's Peak on that one. But, yeah, that's a neat read. Go check that business out. But, hey, Solus has got a new thing.
Yes, many new things, actually, but this is the main one, because this is a CLR boot manager. It's now available. It should have already landed in the stable repo for Solus. And this is a replacement for Grub, in the sense that if you were running Solus and you were, say, you have a UEFI system, and you were just using a UEFI install, you were already not using Grub. It would just set up its own UEFI, and you would just need to edit the kernel line in the EFI boot folder, and it was done. Now, with CLR Boot Manager, which comes from Intel's Clear Linux project, you get a unified bootloader experience, as it were. Now, if you don't have a UEFI system, it'll actually handle grub2 and all the kernel module loading. It even does. This was pretty good. Kudos to Ike and the team. It does actually do some basic hardware detection to see, like, say you had an NVIDIA card plugged into your system, but then you pulled it out because of some reason, and you just hooked the monitor to the motherboard's display port. And look, lo and behold, the CLR Boot Manager will actually remove the NVIDIA kernel module from the kernel line and just have everything. At least it will get you up to a graphical screen, so it lets you boot properly. Now, another thing that surprised me was when I have Solus running on my cheapo calculator. When I rebooted, it gave me an option, okay, start Solus or reboot into firmware. What's this? Oh, rebooted into the BIOS directly. That's cool.
Into the BIOS or the UEFI?
UEFI BIOS, but yes.
That's cool. That's a cool feature. But I like how, once again, Solus comes and saves the day. While other distros are busy working on fixing problems that people don't have. Okay, this is not from Solus themselves. It's from Intel. But still, I mean, they're trying actively to fix real issues. I'd like it if they also fix, if it did also work for graphics drivers and light DM and pretty much everything, just to make sure that you will get to boot into your desktop no matter what. No matter what happened, you boot into your desktop. That's what I would like for the Linux desktop in the years to come. But still, this is very cool, and I like how Solus gets everything right all the time. I'll have to switch to Solus.
Yeah, it's a new distro. It's an entirely new distro built from the ground up to do things properly. Admittedly, it's one of the things that if you go back and watch that Ike interview, what we did, it's the whole multi-library handling. It still does it the old way that most Linux distros do. You get 4 different folders, 2 in the root folder and 2 in /USR. But they're actually actively trying to fix that. And this is just more steps into that. They also, they now have the kernel is handled by the Linux LTS meta package, but they are willing to consider including, say, the Linux mainline kernel, which is a more up-to-date version, but it's not as stable. So it's a bit of a choice that you get.
Maybe we can throw some XFCE4 on it, but before that, they're going to have to sort this Bug 12.11.7. The desktop startup screen causes damage to your monitor. The default wallpaper is having an animal scratch all the plastic off my LED monitor. Can we choose a different wallpaper? I cannot expect the scratches and woo not. Let's end the mouse games over here.
There's that attachment there. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's some damage right there.
Hey, man, I just had to throw this in here because I like myself. Apparently Ubuntu 15.04 might have a different one. I just like myself a good joke bug, and, they just went into that, and that got a good chuckle out of me. But we're not going to waste time on this because we need to talk about these PPAs.
Yes, this is the official Mesa PPA. And what this does is basically what the Padaka Zero Mesa Stable PPA already did. It includes a stable but more up-to-date version of Mesa than you would find in the mainline Ubuntu repos, which is good, say, if you're trying to play video games, that thing what we do every now and again. So it's easy enough to get. There'll be links for that in the show notes. It's the Ubuntu X SWAT /updates PPA. Just give it a look. Let us know if it works or not. This is just another alternative for those people who don't want to use like the bleeding edge PPAs like OIBAF or Exorg Edgers. This is good. Or, you don't trust Paulo Miguel Diaz with his Mesa Stable PPA for some reason.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't use Mesa at all except on Solus, so I wouldn't be a user of that. But yeah, it's good. Yeah. Good stuff.
Okay,
so what's this about?
Linuxy stuff to stuff that Strider put in the show notes.
So there's a new developer release for Android. So it will be Android O.
What the heck?
Yes.
I almost dropped the H bomb. What, you're going to call it O and not call it face? Boo.
I mean, it's only the letter. I mean, we don't know the final name yet. So the previous one was Nougat. This one, we don't know yet what candy it will be based on. But yeah, currently it's just O developer preview. Not a lot going on except that they have performance and battery life improvements. So this is a very good plan to me because they have a hard time pushing their updates on people's phones. I mean, most people use old version of Android, so they don't want to they don't want to introduce like a lot of features.
No, they definitely don't. But that's one of the things you got to realize is that there are millions of Android running older Android that have critical security vulnerabilities, and that's because the carriers are like, we're not going to update them anymore. You want a security update? Buy a new phone. That's kind of how they're throwing it down.
Yeah. So right now, if you want to use it, either in the Android emulator, or you can also download images for the Nexus 5X, 6P, and the Pixel series.
All right.
Yeah. Looking at you for those security issues, LG 6.0.1. Really?
Yeah, I mean, you could try out. Maybe you'll have some images for the Lineage OS.
Man, if you try to install Android O on that flip phone, you're going to Nexus 7 it, dude.
It will literally catch fire. I have absolutely no illusion.
Hey, man, Google has a new project that they'll probably kill next month.
It's not really a project, so I doubt they'll will kill it. It's more
Google
like a directory. It's more of a directory of every open source project that's Google has released over the years. So, I mean, it's nice to have. I mean, it's a nice place to look everything they have released. And there are some documentations about how to release an open source project. It's very Google centric. So I guess it's targeted at people who work at Google, but not only them. But if you want to release an open source project, have a look. It's good advice. Also features all the initiatives they have, like Google Code-in, Google Summer of Code. They have a blog as well. Very good stuff. I mean, it's not an actual project. So I think it's here to stay.
It's a hub.
Yeah,
let's call it that.
It's a thing to visit, and I know we have people in our audience who's like, I don't use Google, they track all my stuff, even though they just passed a law in the North America where your ISPs can once again sell all of your information directly without telling you. Yep. Good luck, but keep it safe. Hey, man, we got to talk about this, that Duke Boy wrote a little,
yes,
what
he
would
did.
you call it?
Something he was very much personally involved with during its creation. Yes, it's the Linux Action Show. If you were paying attention over the weekend, Chris Fisher said, look, it's dead. We haven't driven enough engagement from the community as he would like it. So he decided, you know what, let's kill the Linux Action Show. Let's start focusing on the other shows, because Jupiter Broadcasting itself is not going anywhere. It's just the Linux Action Show, that one show. It's going away. It's going on its merry way. I mean, it had an almost 11-year run, so that's not shabby at all. Mm-hmm. Now, personal opinions about the Linux Action Show aside, it was one of, if not the longest running Linux show podcast, and a relatively popular one at that. Now, it would be nice if LWDW could mooch some of the viewers that will be left alone in the cold without a show to watch. You know, hint, hint.
There's but, a good opportunity to catch here. I mean,
yeah, we're not exactly like the happy, smiley. I mean, I am, but that's because I'm an idiot. The happy, smiley podcasting crew that Chris always made a point that LAS should be. I don't know.
Hey, man, I'm a happy, harmless little fuzzball. I'm your friendly neighborhood Vin Stone. Don't make me come over there and kick you in the throat.
First, we would have to find a better name, I guess.
Oh, no. Just hearing the words Van saying, oh, I'm a happy... Right. Yeah, no.
No, I just like the fact that Strider threw it out. He's like, oh, Linux Weekly Daily Wednesdays, that's a bad name. And I was like, oh, coming from the man whose main project is called Lutris, where you have to Google what the heck is a Lutris?
Lutris is a perfectly good name.
Man, we could do a man on the street survey. It's like, what's Lutris? All right, and I get to shock you every time somebody doesn't know. You want to play that game?
I mean, it's different. People don't know what it is. Fine. Is it a bad name? No, it's not a bad name. It's short, simple.
Okay, that's brilliant. But do you know what people know a lot? They know we're not reading a bunch of ads on this show, and we're completely user-supported. And, hey, they can help us out.
Yes, indeed. This very show was made possible by you. But before we get to that, or I guess we can start with the Patreons. Yes, you, the Patreons, have now made it so we basically have to stream something on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Otherwise, well, let's just say the chairs won't be happy and we will suffer the consequences. No one wants to see that, please. No? Okay. But you can kick a few shekels at us. Say you have a little bit of a passive aggression that you've been harboring towards us. You can literally throw, say, 4 quarters at our heads every single week just to help keep us along and keep us going. We're at $178 a week with 100 Patreons, $22 more, and we can force Jordan to play Serious Sam 3.
That's going to be amazing. I'm going to love it. And hey, man, when there's not standing around asking for a handout, head over to Patreon. Check it out. We get a bunch of cool rewards, including there's like 13 extra hours of completely unreleased, except for Patreon audio, of our pre-show, completely unscripted, spoiling movies, just talking about all kind of random stuff. It's kind of amazing. But yeah, everyone who has a Patreon, thank you. Thank you for making me not have to read ads, because we really don't want to do that. But we were able, this week I did a new OBS instructional video. There's going to be another one of those coming. Pedro was able to stream some
an hour,
Windward.
A couple of odd minutes of Windward, which is one of those games that I've played just said times.
Thursday, Jordan's going to be back with his Torment Thursdays. That's going to be neat. But hey, man, maybe Patreon's not your thing. That's why we got linuxgamecast.com/support. We got all those Amazon buttons. Go check them out. We got Britannia, we got America, we got Canada, and we have France. And we also added a new thing. We got a little Amazon wish list. I had a couple of people. I've had a whiteboard over here. I need to take a picture of it, of like things people have asked me more than once, or things I need to get. I've almost marked everything off if you get any suggestions. That's just going to be straight stuff for the studio. If you're like, I can't remember to use Amazon links, or you're just like, I just want to buy something, I'm going to name it, and you're going to talk about it on the show. That's a thing. We got some PayPal donated buttons. Come check that out if you just want to give us one time a recurring donation. It's going to be a bit brilliant. But that wasn't an ad. That was just a way for you to help us. Hey, nom, nom, nom.
It's that slice of pie. Well, since this has basically turned into Strider's unofficial segment of the show, Strider, what do we have for some pies?
So this time we're starting with a kind of useful project for a change. So this is a way like to build a device based on the Raspberry Pi 0W, if you want Wi-Fi, that will basically be a portable Linux terminal that you can carry on with a keyboard, like a full keyboard with a touchscreen. And yeah, I mean, it's a fully working Linux machine with battery and everything.
C Matrix, yes.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the best uses of Pi Zero I've seen so far. So you will need to get like an iPhone keyboard of Amazon, and you will need to 3D print a case for it. But I mean, the whole thing, you can build the whole thing for pretty cheap, and it's almost useful. So good on them. If you want one, try to build one.
I mean, it's the ultimate hipster terminal phone thingy. It's just, oh, look, yeah. I get a handheld that has a command line. Okay. What's up next?
Better yet, it's a great way to get yourself disappeared by the TSA when traveling around in America. Okay, self-driving RC car using fancy TensorFlow and OpenCV.
So we're back to the usual science projects, but this one is very good. I mean, it's a whole self-driving car RC.
If you try to get that into the airport, they'll shoot you at the gate.
What's that? Is that a cannon?
So they're using several open source projects to make this possible, namely OpenCV that will do visual recognition, like they will detect like stop signs or like generic road signs. They will detect the actual road, and TensorFlow, which is Google's machine learning projects. I'm pretty impressed that this can run on a Pi, because this is something.
Hey man, what's going on? I don't see any source code.
It's going to be made available pretty soon. So just if you are interested into building that yourself, keep an eye on it, because the source code will be made available.
It definitely looks like a fun thing, but Pedro, the entire time he was talking, were you doing the same thing? I am just like, okay, can we teach these things to play rocket cars?
Yes. Can we strap a rocket to its back and just have it hit a ball repeatedly? Yes.
Yeah, I guess this would be possible.
Okay, that's going to do it for a Pi section. We got a little bit of feedback coming up. You want to do that, head over to linksgamecast.com. Hit the feedback button. Hey, it's a thing. Fill it out. Put it in our face so we can get back to you. Coming up first, man, Josh has a little bit of thing to say, man. He's like, Ice, I just installed Debian 8.6. I got the update. But when I went to install Thunderbird, iStuff was still there. I installed iStuff, but it still turned out to be iStuff. Okay.
Yeah,
I read that correctly. I had to do a double take.
Yes.
I guess they haven't changed that meatpacking thing in SID yet. Or maybe something went wrong with the updates. Now, hang on. I'm reading here. Then he posted an update. Update. I guess I'll just have to add the Mozilla repo to my profile. Break.
Yeah, you can do that.
Third update. ... How do you add the Mozilla repository in Debian? Now, here's the thing. This was like from 2 weeks ago when we were talking about Debian actually getting iStuff and Turbo Weasel or whatever it was, right?
Thunderbird and...
So I'm confused here, because Debian 8.6 is not Debian SID. Debian 8.6 is stable.
Yeah,
so it would make sense that... No, I've checked this morning, and Thunderbird is available in testing and unstable. So if you want to do that yourself, if you want to check that yourself, you install a command named rmadison, and you type rmedicine-u Debian if you're running on Ubuntu, and then Thunderbird, and it will show you which distros are where Thunderbird is available.
You know, if you want the actual Debian package for Thunderbird or Firefox, for that case, you just have to add either the testing repos or the unstable repos to the etc. app sources list. And then you just sudo apt-get install -d unstable or testing Thunderbird. Boom, done.
Just run Debian SID. I mean, that's if you were going to run Debian on a desktop, just run Debian SID.
Look, Debian stable is fine, okay?
No, you got it right the first time, Pedro. I mean, they promise they're going to be migrating to the 3X kernels any day now.
Any day
now. Okay, one last bit before we get out of here.
It's Aurélien. Jeremy Crateur, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I love his name. It gives our font system a strength.
Yeah, no, it's like UTF-8, never heard of it. But yeah, he said last week we talked about like the Raspberry BSD supporting the Raspberry Pis with the new version, NetBSD specifically. And I asked the questions. I kind of already knew the answer. It's like, yes, and Jeremy actually said, yes, Pedro, the PS4 is powered by their modified version of BSD called Orbis on both the Vita and the PS TV, because, yes, this was one of the people that actually bought a PS TV. I'm sorry. It's also a modified BSD version called ARM Orbis. So, yes, that's what it's called. That's what the Sony operating BSD-based system is called, Orbis. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, it's no secret that Sony has used BSD-based systems. I mean, did they use BSD for the PS3? I think they did as well.
Yeah.
Yes, that was definitely a thing, including other OS, which was not BSD based. And that's the thing. Trust me, the only thing, I mean, that's your other option, you know, for embedded devices, because there was, unless you just have a moron for your CTO who's like, oh, look, Microsoft's taking me out to whatever game and to golf, and we're going to be reusing Windows embedded, and you walk into your engineering department and they've all suicided themselves. Hey, that's the thing. Thanks for giving us feedback. Send us some more. Let us know if you have just questions, thoughts, show ideas, you name it. We're up for it. But that's going to put a bow on this one. I'm Vin Stone. You can find me at Vin Stone on the Twitter nets. I'll try to get back to you. Plus Vin Stone on the G Pluses, where I'm all beautiful and happy.
That's debatable. I am Pedro Mateos. I'm actually kind of bitter on these social networks, so if you do decide to follow me, do so at your own risk. That's plus Pedro Mateos on Google+, at Unaccounted For on Twitter.
And I've been Mathieu Commandant. You can follow me on Twitter if you don't want to hear from me, or if you do want to hear from me, you can go on Google+, plus Mathieu Commandant.
Okay, we'll see you next week, and I totes have a sippy cup because I found the lid for the Arch Cup. It's kind of
Bye.
See you next week.
Luchers lives!